Okay, the first thing you need to get is a template from me of this rose so that you can go ahead and trace it on the back like that, and then that creates your transfer sheet. Then you have that taped to your illustration board right here, and scribble over that because you traced it on the back, and it will transfer on to your illustration board. Now once on the illustration board, you need to take your pen and you need to go over all the lines. These are pencil lines right now, but you need to go over all these lines with your pen. I've already gone over most of them just to save time on this video, but now we've gone over them. Okay, we no longer need to have this taped to this. This is no longer of any use to us. Set that to the side. Okay, make sure you get this template from me so that you can transfer this on here. And then we are going to start the dot process. It's called stipple art. That's what this is called. And it's one little dot at a time. And yes, it takes a while to do, but the end product is beautiful and satisfying, and they're kind of fun to do. And it gets a little therapeutic once you get the hang of putting these dots on here. So the main thing that you got to remember here is when an area is really dark, like right in here, it's lots of dots, very densely populated with a lot of dots. As it gets to a lighter area, as it fades out and goes from dark to light, you spread the dots out a little bit more. Okay, and that's kind of the whole premise of this. So to begin with, we'll go right here and do this little area right in here to kind of get you started, and then it's just kind of a repeat throughout the rest of the drawing. So I'm not going to do the entire drawing on video, just enough to get you started and get the idea behind it. So let's zoom in. This area right here. And like I say, we're going to come in here and we are going to put a whole bunch of dots right down here in the bottom. Don't press very hard with your pen. If it's touching the paper, it's leaving some ink on the paper. The tip on this thing is not real strong, and if you press down too hard, you'll bend it or break it. So you don't want to do that. So I've got some dots right now that are fairly dense, and then I'm going to spread some dots out around here because this area here is lighter, and I just want these to look random, except right on this edge because I'm going to leave a little edge of reflected light right here. Now these dots do need to look random, and you got to be careful that you don't get putting them in little rows or something. I'll show more about that later, but right now let's just get this one started and make this really dark. So I'm just barely touching that down, really dark right along this edge right here. Now if I need it to go a little bit darker, I can take my pen and actually come along the inside of that edge and just put a little black line right in there, like that. To speed that up just slightly. Doesn't all have to be dots in a super dark area. If you know it's going to be black right there, it's okay to take and just put a little line right there. And then come in and make sure you dot all that edge out so that you don't really see that little black line. Go fairly quick on this. Now when you do this, I want you to take your time and be careful. I'm doing this relatively quickly for the sake of time. Okay, now as I get up here, I'm spreading my dots out a little bit more. They're not as dense, because I don't want it to be as dark at the top edge of this little shape as it is at the bottom in the darkest shadow area. Okay, so right down here, it's kind of a medium, and then towards the top's really spread out. Okay, so now I got that first one done, or pretty close to done. This is the area that we're doing right here. Then I'm going to do this little area right next to it, and this is also very, very dark right here. leave just a little area right at the top, a little reflected light right on this top edge right here. Down in here I want this dark. Again, I'm going to take my pen, make kind of a dark line, because right here in the bottom it's super dark. I have that one done now, and then I'm going to come right along here along this bottom edge where it overlaps. Put just a few dots right here. I'm going to come up this side of this one and go a little bit darker right here, and then fade it out as I move to the left. Create the illusion that it kind of goes around like that. Now, it's a lot like shading with a pencil, but with a pencil in the darkest areas, you just press harder and fill it all in, and then press lighter, lighter, lighter as you move away, and that creates the illusion of shape and form, and it's going from dark to light. Well, you're doing the same thing with the pen, except you're doing more dots or less dots to create the same thing. So as I come over here, I'm going to do this, come along this edge right here at the bottom where it overlaps, and put dots down similarly to what I did right here, and just needs a few. And then I'll come up this edge a little ways, and I'm not getting really dark in here because this area is relatively light, so I'm not going to do too many dots in this particular spot. This little overlap spot right here, this is a dark area. I'm going to leave a little edge of light right there. And that little edge of light separates one shape from another. And that's that little edge of light right there that I'm talking about. Come over here. This is probably my favorite part of this little center part. As we come around in here, dark, and up over the top of this. And then we're going to fade it light as we come up. Okay, now as I do this, I know I'm going to have to spread it out. It's going to be very light towards the top, so I'm just going to put random dots out here. Now, when I say that, what you want to avoid is coming in here and going like this. See how these dots are kind of going in a row? You don't want to come in and get like dots going in a row like this and creating little lines unless you're trying to create some kind of little rows going in here. We want it to look like it's random. So now I'm going to have to come back in here and kind of mix that up. And it's really easy to start, getting them all in a little line, like little ant tracks going across there. And you want to try to avoid that. You want it to be random so it looks like it's just gradually going from dark to light. So you have to do this with intention. It's not just random, put dots on there and not pay attention to what you're actually drawing. Okay, because if you don't pay attention, you'll find yourself putting these little ant track patterns all over your drawing and it won't look correct. And then you'll get frustrated. But if you actually draw with intention, put these dots down intentionally, keeping them from forming little patterns all over and just going from dark to light, you'll be fine. Do this just a little bit more, and then I'm going to turn you loose to just go ahead and work on your drawings. I want to finish this part. I know it's a little bit tedious, but the end result is worth it. And it ends up being, usually they turn out to be quite beautiful drawings. So what I'm trying to do here now is darken this bottom edge, then go to kind of a medium density of the dots and let it fade up into a lighter shadowed area by spreading the dots out further between each other. And it does take a second. It's about as fast as I can do it. And not start getting too random. I mean, fast as I can do it with doing it with intention. Okay, that's pretty good. So we have this area now completed on this one. I don't really see a reason to continue to videotape this. You get the idea. Lots of dots where it's dark, medium amount of dots where it goes to the middle tones, and then fewer dots, very few dots where it goes to the lightest area. One last thing I just want to emphasize is when you are doing this, if you've got that little shape like this, and you got another little shape down in here, make sure that when you're doing these dots, I can't overemphasize this enough, be careful that you're not getting in little ant track things going on like this, because if you do that, it's not going to look random. It's going to start to look really stagnant and just a little too controlled, almost like a computer. You don't want it to look that way. You want it to be more random without little straight ant tracks going all over in it. All right, good luck, and if you need any help, let me know.